of Philippines. Philippines is the largest group of people from present-day China and Vietnam arrived from around 7,000 before Christ to 2,000 before Christ. The largest migrations to the island occurred in 3rd century. By 5th century, the diverse mix of cultures formed a modern civilization. Islam spread through the southern parts of the Philippines throughout the 14th century, thus becoming firmly rooted there. In 15th century, brought trade with traders from the Chinese Ming dynasty. In merchant introduction of Philippines. Philippines is one of the nations that is an archipelagic country in South Asia. Because of this virus that we call COVID-19, all of the country will face a major challenge in their macroeconomic problems around the world. Philippines is one of the dynamic countries in Asia. Some of the macroeconomic problems related to the current Philippines economy are discussed in this article. The Philippines population is equal to 1.41% of the total population of the world. The Philippines rank 13th in the list of countries by population. Macroeconomic problems are divided into two types, which is inflation, and the second one is unemployment. Inflation means that a general increase in the price of goods and services from a month to month and a year to year. This happens because the economy does not achieve its stability objective with this pressure of inflation. If the price of goods and services is rising, the buyer power of money will be diminishing. Furthermore, this in turn decreases financial resources and lowers the standard of living. Inflation means a general increase in the price of goods and services from time to time during inflation. This is because the economy does not achieve its stability objective with this pressure of inflation. Unemployment means the economy does not fulfill the macroeconomic target of full employment. This is also a problem since less output in produce and therefore the scarcity problem in the economy arise. In addition, a consequence of which the owners of unemployed capital earn less profits. Inflation occurs when the supply of money is greater than the demand for money. Moreover, unemployment arises when people are unemployed while actively seeking jobs. Those things that make inflation and unemployment happen. If the price of goods and services is rising, the buyer power of money will be diminishing. Furthermore, this in turn decreases financial resources and lowers the standard of living. Inflation means a general increase in the price of goods and services from time to time during inflation. This is because the economy does not achieve its stability objective with this pressure of inflation. Unemployment means the economy does not fulfill the macroeconomic target of full employment. This is also a problem since less output in produce and therefore the scarcity problem in the economy arise. In addition, a consequence of which the owners of unemployed capital earn less profits. Inflation occurs when the supply of money is greater than the demand for money. Moreover, unemployment arises when people are unemployed while actively seeking jobs, those things that make inflation and unemployment happen.
Inflation and unemployment of Philippines. Inflation, a general increase in the price of goods and services over time during inflation. The economy does not achieve its stability objective with its pressure of inflation. The price of goods and services is rising, the buying power of money is diminishing. This in turn decreases in financial resources and lowers the standard of living. Unemployment. The economy does not fulfill the macroeconomic target of full employment, a problem since less output is produced and therefore the scarcity problem in the economy arises, a consequence of which the owner of employed capital earns fewer profits, lowers the quality of living steadily.
Pros and cons of inflation. According to Brian Black's Economy Project, a news report addresses existing or recent news that inflation's effect on the economy is complicated and can be both positive and negative. The first pros is labor market adjustment. It is slow to change nominal salaries downward. This may lead to prolonged imbalances and high labor market employment. And the second one is room to maneuver. Room to maneuver means opportunity to make changes or to do things differently in order to produce a better result and requires strict requirement. And the cons of inflation is hyperinflation. If inflation is out of control, hyperinflation may lead to the abandonment of the use of the currency of the country, resulting in barter inefficiency. Next is hoarding. Durable and or non-perishable people buy to avoid the losses expected from the decreasing buying power of currency, causing shortages of the accumulated products, services, and other goods as stores and wealth.
Effect of unemployment. Firstly is income loss. When any factories or industries shut down, unemployment happens, and this is hugely extreme when there is financial crisis where recession and unemployment are rampant. Many jobs are lost when a business shuts down. Collectively, if a large number of people were unemployed, their spending will be much smaller. This will eventually lead to a decline in demand as well. On the supply side, if there are decreased demand and lower profits, production will also decrease, and the supplies decrease in demand and decrease in expenditure on materials will impact the next supply level in the same manner. This may result in adverse effects such as a drop in GDP. Secondly is national output loss. Unemployment contributes to the underemployment of scarce resource labor as half of the workforce is not used. Therefore, the output is not at its highest and underemployment of resources would lead to a loss of potential national production. Suppose the situation does not improve in the long term. In that case, the aggregate supply will decline, resulting in a continuous loss of possible national production and hampering the country's growth potential. Lastly, social costs. A rise in unemployment contributes to social inequality. Social problems are all attributed to unemployment, such as high crime rates and reduced life expectancy. People who have lower incomes and are in debt, for example, might turn to crime to make a living, and high jobs will lead to more these individuals, leading to higher crime rates. High income inequality can be found in some areas with consistently high employment rates, which is more common in countries with high growth but high employment. Next, let's move to how to fix the problem. First is price controls. In order to keep up with consumer prices, high inflation causes employers to demand rapid pay increases. Rising wages are going to help boost inflation in the cost-push inflation theory. In the case of collective bargaining, wage growth will be set according to inflationary expectations, which if inflation is extreme will be higher. This may cause a wage spiral. In a way, inflation produces more inflationary inflation.
Sweet cookie cats. I'll always remember the time we spent together.
Second is reserve requirements. The second approach is to boost reserve limits on the number of money banks that are legally needed to have on hand to cover withdrawals. The more money banks are required to hold back, the less they have to lend to customers. Consumers will borrow less if they have less to borrow, which will reduce spending. And lastly, reducing the money supply. The third approach is to decrease the money supply directly or indirectly by enacting policies that reduce the supply of money. Two examples of this include calling in debts owed to the government and raising the interest rate on bonds to purchase more investors.